A writer friend of mine asked me how scribbling can help writers. And quite honestly, there's a lot of ways that scribbling can help writers. Mostly, I think it's because the writers that I know are very much in their heads. They tend to be very intellectual. So as a writer, getting out of your head and into your body will help you to write from a different place. You might be able to connect with different energies in the world, in the universe, that can guide you in your writing as well. It might help you become more experimental and courageous in your writing if you start scribbling on the page in a courageous way, in a way that is focused on each moment rather than on what the outcome is. And I kind of think that this has a similar idea to Julia Cameron's Morning Pages. It's a flow of color and shape rather than a flow of words. And again, I think this is really important for writers as well, because as a writer, you need to be constantly translating emotions and feelings and descriptions into words. And so it's almost like you're leaving the swirling, whirling world of energy to translate those energies into words. And so although scribbling is not practicing the art of putting words together, it will help move ideas and thoughts through you. And you may even find that by using this different medium, that it helps the words come together. Because it's not just another medium, it's a different side of the brain, different part of the brain, a different way of connecting the body and the brain, creating different neural pathways. And I just keep coming back to courage because that's really what this practice has helped me with, practicing it long term. It's really helped me build the courage to listen to that voice inside. And so maybe when you're writing, you hear a voice inside you, but it just seems too ridiculous, whatever that voice is saying, too ridiculous to put what the voice is saying on the page. And so if you practice the silliness and ridiculousness of putting the voice on the page when it comes to scribbling, when there's nothing at stake, then you start to build the muscle that you need to follow the ridiculousness of what you know to be true, what you know needs to be expressed, versus what you think to be true and what you think needs to be expressed. And so 10 years ago, when I started doing this scribbling, this doodling practice, there's no way I would be sharing it with others. It would have felt way too personal and way too scary. I would have felt like, oh, it's not me. I'm much more put together than this. Now, after all these years, I've realized all the benefits to this, and all I want to do is share it with everyone else. Even though it's ridiculous. And the reason I have the courage to do that is because I practiced scribbling so much. I feel really comfortable following that inner voice that says, you should do this, even though it feels really scary. And so I think about how many writers might be doing that too, just writing what they think needs to be written, rather than what's in their heart and soul to be written. And I hope for them the practice of courage so they can write what's in their hearts and souls, no matter how strange it feels to put it out there, no no matter how strange they think others will view it. And that's the thing, we're always told to follow our heart and soul. And that's all well and good, but it can be really, really scary. It's beautiful advice, and it's really scary advice. And so how do we practice that in small ways? And this is just one of the most playful ways I have found to practice, putting the heart and soul on the page. The inner knowing, listening to that inner voice without any repercussions. The worst thing that can happen is I create something I don't like and I toss it in the garbage. No big deal there. Or if it's in a sketchbook, I turn the page, new page. And really, I think that's how life works too. You know, it doesn't work out, cool, we turn a new page. Rarely repercussions that we can't handle, that we can't eventually process. But it doesn't feel like that. It feels big and wild and scary. And for the first little while, scribbling might feel big and wild and scary. Maybe just set your timer for 3 minutes and say, okay, I'm going to scribble on this page for 3 minutes. And just make it loose scribbles or whatever comes to you. It doesn't have to be shapes like this, although it could be. You can see on this channel that many different kinds of scribbles come out of me. Sometimes with the scribbles, I get hits of understanding, of knowing. Sometimes nothing comes. I try not to have expectations of what I want to get out of this. I just follow that inner knowing. That's my only job. And so if you want to start this practice, you're a writer and you want to start this practice, or you're anyone and you want to start this practice, all you need is something to write with, something to make marks with, and something to make marks on. Doesn't have to be fancy. Don't have to have all the colors of the rainbow like I do. It could just be a simple pencil, or maybe a pen that you picked up from the car dealership. It doesn't have to be fancy at all. And then you can use the back of a receipt or a cardboard box that you just opened. Doesn't need to be in a sketchbook. And then just start listening. What shapes and colors want to come out? Or if you have no colors, what shapes want to come out? If you're a writer, I'm pretty sure you have something to make marks with and something to make marks on. So go get them now and start scribbling with me. Don't follow along for what I'm doing. What I'm doing makes no difference. Just make one shape that feels good. Maybe it's a flower or a heart or a star. Those ones seem to be easy. Or a circle. Or maybe it's just one flowing line scribble, or maybe it's loop-de-loops. You check out some of the other videos on this channel. There might be something that really speaks to you. And that feels complete for me today. It's giving me alien space vibes. If you're up for another practice, check out this video here. I'll see you tomorrow.